Good morning, students. Welcome to our online class. This is your economics period. Students, today in this recorded video class, I want to cover few topics from chapter Determination of Income and Employment, that is chapter 3 from book 1, that is Introductory to Macroeconomics. I repeat, in this recorded video class, I want to cover few topics from chapter 3, that is Determination of Income and Employment, from book 1, that is Introductory Macroeconomics. Students, I suggest and appeal all of you to listen the lecture, the explanation which is given by me for better understanding of the concepts which were given in this chapter. Okay, students? Fine. Students, in the last period we have studied about MPS, I mean marginal propensity to save. What is meant by marginal propensity to save? The definition we have studied, and the symbolic representation of MPS also we have studied. What is MPS? Once again I will revise. Marginal propensity to save. MPS means marginal propensity to save. Its definition is the ratio of change in savings. MPS means the ratio of change in savings to the change in income. The ratio of change in savings to the change in income is called marginal propensity to save. I repeat, what is meant by MPS? MPS means marginal propensity to save. The definition is the ratio of change in saving, the ratio of change in saving to the change in income. Symbolically, how can you represent that one? What is the symbolically representation? That is, MPS is equal to that is change in saving. This is the symbol of change. Change in saving divided by change in the what? Income. Change in saving, that is a change in income. Income is what? Y. Capital letter Y. Marginal propensity to save is the ratio in the change of saving to the change in income. This symbol indicates change. S means saving. So change in saving ratio, divided by change in income. When the income is more, the saving may be more. When the income will be more, the saving will be more. When the income is less, the saving will be less. Generally, it is a tendency of the household people. It is the tendency of the household people that whatever income they are receiving, monthly income or yearly income, out of which they will save certain income. So MPS means marginal propensity to save. The definition is the ratio in the change in saving to the change in income. So this is the symbolical representation of MPS. Earlier you have studied about what? MPC, that is marginal propensity to consume. Now, one important point, I said definition, I said symbolical representation. Now I want to say the value of MPS. Remember, the value of MPS always lies between, the value of MPS always lies between 0 and 1. 0 and 1. Value of MPS. The value of MPS always lies between 0 and 1. I mean more than 0 and less than 1. How can I write that one? More than 0. Okay, more than 0 and less than or equal to 1. More than 0, MPS is always, the value of MPS always lies between more than 1 and less than or equal to, so more than 0 and less than or equal to 1. Here this symbol is equal to less than or equal to 1. This symbol is referred as what? Less than or equal to 1. So three things I explained here. What is MPS? Symbolical representation of MPS, and where the value of MPS always lies. Okay students? Now, next. Next topic. What is the relationship between APC and APS? I mean average propensity to consume and average propensity to save. Listen carefully. Relation between APC and APS. Here APC means what? Average propensity to save. Average. And APS means what? Average propensity to, APC means average propensity to consume, and APS means what? Average propensity to save. So let us study what is the relationship between APC and APS. This will be asked for you in the exam. So I am writing here, listen. APC, I mean average propensity to consume, plus APS is equal to 1. Average propensity to consume and average propensity to save is equal to 1. Same thing can be written like this. That is APC, average propensity to save, is equal to 1 minus APS. The same can be written like this, or we can write like this, and the same thing can be written like this. APS is equal to 1 minus APC. So this is the relationship between APC and APS. Relation between APC and APS. Average propensity to consume plus average propensity to save is equal to 1, or APC is equal to 1 minus APS, or APS is equal to 1 minus APC. So this is the relation between average propensity to save and average propensity to consume, or average propensity to consume and average propensity to save. Similarly, I will go for the relation between MPC and MPS. I mean marginal propensity to consume and marginal propensity to save. So how it will be? Listen, see. Simply the names will be changed. The relation between MPC and MPS. I mean the relation between marginal propensity to consume and marginal propensity to save. How we will write that one? MPC, okay, plus MPS is equal to 1 as we did earlier, or MPC, okay, MPC is equal to 1 minus MPS, or we can write and MPS is equal to 1 minus MPC. So this is the relationship between marginal propensity to consume and marginal propensity to save. MPC plus MPS is equal to 1. MPC is equal to 1 minus MPS, or MPS is equal to 1 minus MPC. That is the relation. Now moving to another topic. The another topic is the propensity to save curve. How the propensity to save curve is drawn from propensity to consume curve. I mean, how the propensity to save is drawn from propensity to consume. Suppose propensity to consume curve is given. With the help of that propensity to consume, how we can draw what? Propensity to save curve. So same thing said here. The propensity to save curve is drawn from propensity to consume and vice versa. Suppose propensity to save curve is given, then with the help of we can draw propensity to consume curve. If propensity to consume curve is given, then we can draw the propensity to save curve. Both are vice versa. Now let us see the diagram. You always tell me, when your income increases, your consumption also increases. When income increases, the consumption also increases. Similarly, when the income increases, the savings also will increase. But one thing you remember, the rate at which the income increases, it will not be equal to the rate of consumption. I mean, the rate at which the income increases, in the similar way, the rate of consumption will not increase. It will increase, but not equal to the rate of increase in the incomes. Now see, this y-axis, this is x-axis. In y-axis, we can show consumption, C. This one, C, means consumption. In x-axis, in y-axis, we can show consumption. And y-axis, this C means what? Consumption. Okay, here we will say Y means what? Income. And I always told you, the consumption curve is always in 40 degrees. I always told you, the consumption curve is always drawn in 40 degrees. So this is the right angle, 90 degrees. Okay, now how to draw 45 degrees? This is the consumption curve. Consumption curve always drawn in 45 degrees, and it slopes from left to right, upwards. It slopes upwards. It slopes upwards, not down. It slopes upwards from left to right. The consumption curve always drawn at 45 degree angle. It always slopes upward from left to right. So this is consumption curve. Now see, suppose your income y1, y2. Suppose your income is this one at y1. Okay, then this will be the what? Consumption. Suppose your income increases, then your consumption also will increase. If income increases, the consumption also increases. I repeat once again. Whenever your income is less, income less, consumption less. When income increases, y2, then consumption also increases. But one thing I told you, the rate at which the income increases, the consumption may not be increased at the same time. Next one. Here, this is 0, suppose. Now here 0, 1. This is another curve. This is like this. This is consumption function. I mean C1, consumption function. This is what? Consumption function. Okay. This curve is what? Consumption function. I mean income consumption. Here the width is what? Less. Here income increases, then the consumption also goes on increasing. Okay. Similarly, savings. When income increases, your savings also will increase. When income increases, your savings also will increase. Then savings will come down like this. How to draw that one saving function? See, like this. Or it will come like this. The dotted line. This dotted line represents what? The saving function, SS. Saving function. CC1 dot means what? Consumption function. S dot means what? Saving function. Here y is equal to C at a point P. So where is C1? This is C1. Okay, where is E? This is what? E. The point of equilibrium. Okay. So this curve shows that we can draw the consumption curve with the help of saving curve, or we can draw saving curve with the help of what? Consumption curve. So this part is the saving. This part is called the saving. Okay. At this income, this much saving. If income increases, saving will also, it will come like this. Then this part will be increased. So this part will be saving. When income increases, saving also will increase. Okay. Now, here, the equilibrium level of income. Equilibrium is what? The place where both are meeting together. The place of rest in economics. Equilibrium is what? The place of rest. So the equilibrium level of income and output is determined. I'll explain that. Just a minute. I'll rub this one. Your next topic is equilibrium in level of income and output. How equilibrium level of income and output. Equilibrium in level of income and output is determined by what factors? Is determined by what? How you can determine the equilibrium of level of income and output? What are the ways? What are the methods? What are the ways or what are the methods through which the level of income and output is determined? So my dear students, there are two things. There are two things that helps in determining the level of income and output. Number one, when aggregate demand equals to aggregate supply. Number one, when aggregate demand AD is equal to aggregate supply. Here AD means what? Aggregate demand. AS means what? Aggregate supply. When aggregate demand is equal to aggregate supply, that is one of the situation where the equilibrium of level of income and output is determined. And the second one is, okay, when planned savings is equal to planned investment. When planned savings are equal to planned investment, that means when S is equal to I. S means here what? Savings. S means here what? Savings. I means what? Investment. Y means income. I means investment. So the equilibrium of level of income and output both are determined by two conditions. Number one, when aggregate demand AD is equal to aggregate supply AS. That means when AD is equal to AS. And second one, when savings, the planned savings are equal to planned investment. When planned savings are equal to planned investment. So these two are the these two are the conditions. With the help of these two conditions, we can determine the equilibrium of the level of income and output. So far we have studied in the first chapter 2 sectors economy, 3 sectors economy. In 2 sectors economy, who are there? Household people and firms. In 2 sectors economy, what are the things are there? Households and people. So in 2 sectors economy, aggregate demand is equal to consumption plus investment. Just a minute. In a 2 sector economy, what are the things are there? Household people and firms. So in 2 sector economy, how this equilibrium of level of income and output is determined? So in the 2 sector economy, it is like this. When aggregate demand is equal to C plus I, when aggregate demand is equal to consumption plus investment, and what? Aggregate supply is equal to consumption plus savings. In a 2 sector economy, when AD is equal to C plus I mean consumption plus investment, and aggregate supply is equal to consumption plus saving, therefore the equilibrium condition is therefore this is symbol therefore. Okay, therefore the equilibrium condition is what? Y is equal to C plus I mean income. When income is more, consumption is more. When income is more, investment is more. When income is more, consumption will be more. When income is more, investment is more. So Y is equal to C plus I. The equilibrium level of income is obtained by solving this equation. I'm solving the equation. See. What is that one? AD is equal to AS. Okay. Consumption, this symbol not equal to plus 1 is equal to consumption is not equal to plus saving. Okay. Or I is equal to S, or S is equal to I. So this is the one symbolic representation of the equilibrium. Okay. Next one. The same thing can be explained in this way. Or if AD is more than AS, when AD is more than AS, listen. More means what? Greater than. When AD is more than AS, when the AD is more than AS, the income will increase. When AD is more than AS, when aggregate demand is more than aggregate savings, when aggregate demand is more than aggregate savings, then the income will increase. This one. Second one. When aggregate demand is less than aggregate savings, income will decrease. Yes, once again. When aggregate demand is more than aggregate savings, demand is more, but the savings are less, then the incomes will decrease. Incomes will increase. When aggregate demand is more than aggregate savings, then income will increase. When the aggregate demand is less than aggregate savings, then the income will decrease. Okay. This can be done with the adjustment in the level of income. This can be done with the adjustment of level of income. Next one. Next topic, that is, if planned savings, you are studying ex ante, ex post. Okay, what is planned and what actually happened. Okay, so like this, if planned savings S, if planned savings S is greater than planned investment, If planned savings is greater than planned investment. If planned savings are more than planned investment, that is, then what will happen? The income will decrease. Income will decrease. When planned savings are more than planned investment, then the incomes will decrease. On the other hand, if the planned savings are less, savings are less than the income, opposite. When the planned savings are lesser than the planned investment, then the level of income will increase. Then level of income increases. Okay. Now, moving to next topic. Listen carefully. Next one. When equilibrium between A and D, equilibrium is what? When both are same. See, when aggregate demand is equal to aggregate supply. When aggregate demand is equal to aggregate supply, that means when equilibrium between AD and AS takes place at less than full employment, then it is called underemployment. When the equilibrium between AD and AS takes place at less than the full employment, when the equilibrium between AD and AS, takes place less than the full employment, then that is called underemployment. Underemployment. I repeat once again. When does underemployment takes place? When the equilibrium between AD and AS takes place at less than the full employment. When the equilibrium between aggregate demand and aggregate supply takes place at less than full employment, then the situation is termed as underemployment equilibrium. Similarly, when equality between AD and AS, takes place at full employment, when this takes place at it is less than not left. When AD is equal to AS in full employment, when AD and AS, when aggregate demand is equal to aggregate supply, and which takes place at full employment level of income, that is called full employment equilibrium. This is called full employment equilibrium. That means the equilibrium between AD and AS, when it takes place at less than the full employment level of income, then that situation is termed as what? Underemployment. When there is equality between AD and AS, takes place at full employment level of income, then that situation can be termed as what? That is full employment. Now I will explain what is meant by full employment, what is meant by underemployment, etc. Okay. Before going to that one, I want to show something. See, the equality between AD and AS does not imply that there will be necessary full employment. Here I told you, when AD is equal to AS, okay, at the place of full level of income, it is termed as full employment equilibrium. But again, is telling condition. The equality between AD and AS does not imply that there will necessarily be full employment. Always remember, the equality between AD and AS can take place at underemployment or full level of income. I repeat, the equality between AD and AS does not imply that there will be necessarily be full employment. It's not necessary there will be full employment. However, the equality between AD and AS can take place at underemployment and also at full level of income. Example, one example I'm showing here. Suppose, see, suppose, question, suppose, okay, C is equal to 40, C is equal to 40 plus 0.75 y. C is equal to 40 plus what? 0.75 y means what? Income. This is called what? Consumption function. Consumption function. Okay. And here, and I is equal to rupees 60. That is what? Investment function. Suppose C is equal to 40 plus 0.5 y, which is called consumption function, and I is equal to what? Rupees 60, which is called investment function. Then the equilibrium level of income will be obtained like this. How the equal? Now find out the equilibrium. Find out the equilibrium level of income. Find the equilibrium level of income. How to find out the equilibrium level of income? How to find out the equilibrium level of income? Now I am solving this problem. See. Now listen carefully. Observe. Y is equal to C plus I. I already told you. Y is equal to C plus I. When income is more, then consumption also will be increased and investment also will be increased. What is Y here? Y is equal to 40 plus 0.75 Y, okay, plus 60 investment. This is what? What? C means what? Consumption. This is consumption. You have to find out the level of income. Equilibrium, the level of income. C, I wrote what? 40 plus 0.75 income plus 60 is what? Investment. How to solve this one? Okay. Is equal to Y minus 0.75. Y minus 0.75. Okay. Is equal to 100. 40 here. 40 and 60. 100 na. So Y minus 0.75. 0.75 Y is equal to 100. Or I can say 0.25 Y is equal to 100. 0.25 is equal to 100. 0.25 is equal to 100. Finally, is equal to Y is equal to 400. I mean, you have to divide this one. Y is equal to 400. Say like this. Y is equal to 400. So like this you have to solve. Here thus you have to write now. Thus Y is equal to 400 is the equilibrium level of income. This is the answer. Okay, next one. Another one I can give. One more. Another one I can give. Okay. Shall we go? Okay, no need. Now we are moving to another topic, that is investment multiplier. I'm sorry. Next topic, what is meant by investment multiplier? Listen carefully. What is meant by investment multiplier? Investment multiplier always examines the effect of changes in the investment on the level of income. What is meant by investment multiplier? What is meant by investment multiplier? Investment multiplier always examines, it always finds out. Investment multiplier always examines, finds out the effect of changes, EFFECT, the effect of changes in investment on the level of income. When the investment will be changes on the level of income, when income is more, then your investment will be more. Suppose you are a business person, you are earning more and more income, then naturally you will try to invest more and more money to expand your business. So when incomes are more, then the investment also will be increased. When the incomes are less, then the investment also will less. So the same thing is explained here. I repeat, when the incomes are more, when the incomes are earned more and more, naturally the investment also will increase. When the incomes are less, then the investments also decreases. So same thing said here. Investment multiplier examines the effect of changes in the investment on the level of income. Same thing I can explain in some other words. Investment multiplier explains the relationship between increase in investment and the resultant increase in the income. The same thing I explained. What is that here? In other words, investment multiplier explains. In other words, investment multiplier explains what? It explains the relationship between increase in investment and the resultant increase in income. When the income will increase, investment will increase. When the income is decreased, then the investment also decrease. So investment multiplier always tells the relationship between increase in the investment, resulted in the increase in the investment, resulted in the increase in the income. I repeat, in other words, investment multiplier explains the relationship between increase in investment and the resulted changes in the income or resulted increases in the income. That means when income will increase, then investment also will increase. So the relation between increase in income and the resulted change in the investment, that is explained by investment multiplier. Now again, investment multiplier is the ratio change in income and the change in investment. We can say like this also. What is investment multiplier? Investment multiplier also tells the ratio of change in income to the change in investment. The ratio in the change of income to the change of investment. That means when your income will change, investment also ultimately change. When your income will change, ultimately the investment also will change. So investment multiplier also tells the ratio in change of income to the change of investment. When income changes, investment changes. When income increases, investment increases. When income decreases, investment decreases. So investment multiplier also always tells the ratio of change in income to the change in investment. Now how we can show that in symbolically? Multiplier is equal to small k. This is the symbol. The small k is the symbol of multiplier. The small k is the symbol of multiplier. So investment multiplier is equal to change in income by change in investment. That means k is equal to change in income divided by change in investment. This is what about investment multiplier. Okay. Now, the value of multiplier K depends upon the value of marginal propensity to consume. I repeat, the value of multiplier K depends upon the value of marginal propensity to consume, I mean MPC. There is a direct relationship between multiplier K and MPC. I mean K and MPC. There is a MPC. So investment multiplier and MPC, marginal propensity to consume, both are having a direct relationship. How? When the value of MPC is higher, then the value of multiplier also will higher. I repeat, here multiplier means what? K. Okay. So the value of multiplier K always depends upon MPC, marginal propensity to consume. There is a direct relationship between multiplier K and marginal propensity to consume. Okay. He said here, the higher the value of MPC, I mean marginal propensity to consume, the higher the value of multiplier. When the value of MPC is higher, naturally the value of multiplier also will be higher. Example, symbolically. I am explaining in symbolically. Symbolically, here K is equal to 1 by 1 minus MPC. This is the formula. This is the formula of what? Multiplier and MPC. I repeat, the value of multiplier K, the value of multiplier K always depends upon the marginal propensity to consume. There is a direct relationship between multiplier K and MPC. When the value of MPC is higher, ultimately the value of multiplier will be higher. Symbolically, we can explain that one like this. Multiplier is equal to 1 by 1 minus MPC. Here, the value of multiplier also depends upon the value of marginal propensity to save. One more thing, the value of multiplier K also, so far we had studied that it depends upon the value of MPC. But again he is telling, the value of multiplier K also depends upon the value of marginal propensity to consume in MPC. So how we can show that relationship between multiplier and MPC? Okay. K is equal to 1 by MPS. This is, I repeat once again, the value of multiplier K also depends upon the value of marginal propensity to save. There is an inverse relationship. I mean opposite. There is an inverse relationship between multiplier K and MPS. There is always an inverse relationship between the multiplier K and MPS, marginal propensity to save. When the value of MPC is lower, then the value of multiplier will be higher. And when the value of multiplier is higher, then the value of MPC will be lower, vice versa. I mean opposite. That's why I told there was always an inverse relationship between multiplier K and MPS. When the value of MPC is lower, then the value of multiplier will be higher. When the value of multiplier is higher, then the value of MPS will be less. Yes. So that can be explained. What? Symbolically, K is equal to 1 by MPS. Okay. Now, in next video, we will continue about what is full employment, what is underemployment, what is involuntary unemployment, etc. Thank you, students. Take care.